Maybe you don't know how to edit. Maybe you can only upload once a month. Maybe every video your dad's off to the side throwing beer cans at your head. You can still grow a YouTube channel. The real reason most new YouTubers never grow is because your thumbnails are not good enough. I asked you guys to send me your thumbnails and I received over 250 back. I didn't expect that. I looked through every single one and I made notes on all of them. And finally, I chose just 5. And I felt these thumbnails perfectly showcased the most common mistakes everyone was making. Then I gave myself just 15 minutes each to fix them. Okay, number 1 on today's draw is, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look. Okay, I have some serious questions. For starters, instantly I look at this text here and I say it's completely unreadable, especially when you shrink it down like that. Second, I have no idea who this is. I assume this is the main character of Farlight 84. That's what I would go for. And I'm going to assume this is you, the person who submitted this. But I have no idea what the concept is. This is going to be a major problem with every single thumbnail I look at today. I feel like most people struggle to sell a concept, what the video is based purely on the thumbnail. I'm going to need more context. The title of this video is Farlight 84 First Game. Okay, so is it a review or is it his very first time playing? He has key demographic written in as just battle royale gaming. Wouldn't really call that a key demographic, but I get what you're meaning. What is your video's story or concept? Why would someone click it? And he's just written first game and first thoughts. Okay, so it is. It's kind of like a first impressions review style video. Instantly, I'm looking at this and I think Farlight 84. I've never heard of this, which means it must be a fairly niche game or a fairly small indie game. How do we make this one stop someone in the tracks and look at it? After taking a minute to break down the video's concept and thumbnail, my major concerns were nobody knowing who the creator is or what the game is. And when you're tackling a niche topic, you need to make sure your thumbnail and title is clickable by a much larger audience by relating it back to a much larger or broader topic. After all, nobody cares about a new creator's first impressions. The text was also far too small, the color and a hard drop shadow made it hard to read, and it became even more difficult because the thumbnail has so much detail and it's all in focus. I instantly start by grabbing assets for the game, screenshotting their mascot, with the gun for context to say it's a shooter, and start cutting them out in Photoshop. I kinda want to include her ass. Is that weird? I then grab assets from Fortnite and Overwatch, as these are the games I want to relate this game back to, one being a battle royale and the other being a third-person hero shooter. This helps viewers understand what type of game this is. I need in-game high-res art. Whoa. Do not Google Tracer from Overwatch without safe search on. What is wrong with people? Why is there a pregnant Tracer? I bring these into Photoshop, cut them out, and desaturate them both to black and white. And then I start moving them around to try get the sizing right of our 3 heroes. I toy around with a background image that I add a blur to so that it has some depth, but it still felt really flat, so I added a drop shadow to all 3 of our heroes. I ditched the idea of having a solid background and instead grabbed 3 different backdrops, one from each of the games. I line them up behind each hero, add blur for depth, and then split the entire thumbnail up by adding 2 white lines with drop shadows. I then layered my white lines so that the heroes were behind them on the left, but above them on the right to add depth. And then I desaturated Overwatch and Fortnite's backgrounds. It's not a bad start, but I feel like it isn't hammering home the idea that this unknown game is so much better than old games. So I try to play around with text, but I'm really not happy with this. So I grabbed this graffiti style red X to show that they're both dead or knocked off essentially. I add some saturation, some brightness and contrast so our main character pops harder and our eyes are drawn to her, but I just don't like the text. That's pretty nice. I just feel like this isn't hitting home though. Do I need the text? And eventually decide to remove it entirely because I realized I was making a major mistake by potentially repeating the title in my thumbnail. That's not something I need to do. We have our before and our after, and for about 15 minutes, I kind of fucking love it. I think the title will really make or break this, but you can workshop that and figure out what really works. For now, I think it's a really solid thumbnail to make people go, hold on, what's this game? Why is it knocking off these 2 massive games? And where do we go from there? I think this solves the issue of clickability. I think it's far less busy, it's more visually engaging, and generally it tells a story of how this new game has killed 2 massive games, which, you know, might not be true, but it's selling a premise that's clickable and can be explored throughout the video. For the next thumbnail, I wanted to do something that wasn't gaming related to really show off the different options you have. Matty Matt's Malpractical Podcast. And it's 2 people in Sherlock Holmes outfits and a guy accepting what looks like an Oscar. with the monkey slamming symbols behind them over Mars, episode 1, part 2. None of this text is going to be visible when it gets shrunk down. And then the other issue is that you guys are the personalities, you're the reason people want to keep watching, but they're not the reason people want to click. We don't know who you are. I don't know what this is going on up here. I don't know why you got these. I don't know why you got these. I got no concept. So I'm going to take a little cheeky peek. The idea is somewhat of a podcast, the main attraction being comedic super edits, as well as stories and experiences with hospitals. Okay, you're wrong. The main attraction of this is not the super edits. It's not the comedy, anything like that. The main attraction for this, if you want clicks, is going to be the hospitals and your experiences in the hospitals. If you focus on your comedy and your super edits, you're going to have a much harder path to go down as a content creator. Now, what does everyone love in medicine? Everyone loves a good X-ray. How dangerous are metal straws? You're likely going to start seeing a trend here, but unlike the last thumbnail, this one has a new snag, and that is they're including an episode number. If you're wanting to bring viewers into your content, then saying that this is episode 6, just as an example, is essentially telling them that before they can watch this, they need to watch 5 other episodes. So they'll click something else that doesn't have homework. You can still make episodic content similar to how Point Crow does Let's Plays, but you'll notice every episode of the Let's Play is packaged as its own video to make it far easier for a viewer to click on it. And because it's a hospital stories podcast as well, I decided to Google the same thing I do every Saturday night. What am I doing? X-ray of a butt clean. I don't want stuff in it. Okay, why is there only stuff inside this butt? Because I only have 15 minutes, I grab an X-ray off Google, but you guys can easily pay for stock image websites like Envato and use any of those there. Now we have to figure out what we're putting inside. Sorry, I didn't expect to say that out loud. Now we have to figure out what I'm putting inside. Speaking of Envato, I used to grab myself a stock doctor image, but you'll obviously just take a picture of yourself. I cut him out and make sure his hand is directly inside the asshole. Then we add a stock doctor's office behind him and add a big iris blur to make sure he has depth and he isn't blending into the background. You can see we already have a rough concept coming together, and that's usually a great start. I want the X-ray to blend better, so I run a soft edge eraser over the edge, which just makes it a little less harsh. And then I add brightness and contrast to the X-ray so that it becomes very, very clear. Personally, I think people expect X-rays to be blue, so I edit the color balance and brightness further to really stand out. Now we need to figure out what's funny to be up there. I hate what I'm about to show you, but I think it'll get clicks. It'll get clicks. I add the X-ray of the mouse, cut it out, and then edit the coloring to match the other X-ray. I quickly clean up the weird arrow in the corner, and well, we're almost there. Don't you just hate our job? Like, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, like, this is what we do for a living. We have to make something like this work. Now, I'm really struggling to draw the viewer's eye to the mouse inside the butt. So I add a brightness and contrast layer, and then I mask it so it only applies behind the mouse directly. And then I lower the brightness, but up the contrast so it really stands out. I toyed around with text for a little bit. I wasn't super happy with it, but I added a "my first year" with a stroke and drop shadow to stand out. Again, I'm not super confident about that text, and I don't think it's needed, but the reason I left it in was because it just adds that little extra bit of story. Wow, they found a mouse inside a guy's ass in their first year. I have some explaining to do. Here's my logic. You have to, as a content creator, have a big enough ego that you honestly believe that people want to hear what you have to say. They want to watch what you have going on. You need that ego so your performance is good. The moment you try and get someone to click on your content, you actually need to remove the ego and focus purely on delivery of that content. This title, same concept, really bad. No one cares about the name of your podcast. No one cares about the episodes. No one cares about heckin' hobbyists, anything like that. It should be something like our worst X-rays in the first year. I'm now just rambling. Love you. Bye. I chose these two specifically because I think they really help you understand that idea is everything. That's why I spend 2 hours every week per channel just coming up with ideas that are interesting to my audience. Not because of me, but in spite of me. I have full videos on how to do this that'll be linked in the description, but one of my favorite ways to get the ideas flowing on days where I'm really struggling is using vidIQ's idea generator. Essentially, if I'm banging my head against a wall, I open vidIQ, head to the daily ideas, and as I just scroll through, I click save or click delete on the ideas that it's generated for my channel. Then when I'm done, I click saved ideas and I can scroll through the ones that I liked, picking just the best ones out and deciding to script them. I should say this isn't sponsored. I've used VidIQ for about 5 years now, but I have partnered with them very recently so that you guys can use the link in the description to try out these tools I'm showing you for 30 days for just $1. I do earn a small cut if you sign up. Obviously, I'm not trying to hide that. And if you can come up with even one great idea because of the tool, then let's be real, that's absolutely worth it. Now, back to the thumbnails. Straight away, the first thing I'm noticing about this is the background is really blurry. It took me a second to realize it was a Poke Center. Obviously, this is a no Pokemon healing run or no Poke Center specifically run, but let's confirm that. I got banned from all Poke Centers and marts. Okay, so the question is the run something different to a no healing run, or is it a no healing run? When you're making a video that has been done before, it's both easy and extremely hard. Because sure, you can just copy the successful template left for you by other creators, but then the issue you'll have is trying to stand out from all the other creators. But on the other hand, not wanting to copy what has worked leads to failing a lot until you find your own style. So with this in mind, I start by grabbing high-res sprites of the Pokemon Center, Nurse Joy, a Super Potion, and a few other things. I position these and I add text that says no heals. I then use sprites to make a nice background, but I have to be honest, I struggled more on this than any other thumbnail I've made. I'll explain why in a second, but essentially I made dozens of versions of this thumbnail. I started again from scratch multiple times, repositioned, re-edited, tried different words, different sprites, put red X's on doors and on Nurse Joy's face. I rage quit this thumbnail 8 times. You name it, I tried it. And I think the best it looked was likely this version right here. But I just couldn't stop working on this one. I had to make sure I lived up to the nickname my 4th grade teacher gave me when I knocked over an entire cabinet, and that is Eljay fingers. And then because I just kept fiddling with it, it meant I just never landed on a version I was confident in. But why? Well, the reason other than the fact that I was doing this at 2 AM is because I didn't want to just copy the styles that everyone else was doing. I wanted to try stand out because that's what the original creator had written in their brief, that they were trying to be different and that's how they'd landed on their thumbnail. I did so many different attempts on this. I even gave Nurse Joy angry eyebrows at one point like the creator was trying to do. But finally, I abandoned the Pokemon Center concept entirely, and instead I went the route of a before and an after. I got 2 sprites, one Chimchar and one of his evolved form. I chose these because the creator was using Pokemon Diamond, and I wrote Battle 1 on the left and Battle 86 on the right to show progress. I put health bars above each Pokemon, gave them the same name so the viewers knew it was the same character on the left and the right, and then I lowered the health to red on the right, and I titled the video Pokemon Diamond, but I can never heal. While this feels like it sells the concept, the issue is this isn't the best way to tell people there's no healing. The best way to say no healing is to have the Pokemon Center say in big letters, no heals. That's what the truth is, okay? And I wish we could do that, but I get it. You want to be different. I want to be different, so maybe we can do Battle 1, Battle 86, Jake never heals. We have to walk a line here, and at the end of the day, this might not work. This might not get clicks, but the other version might work and might get clicks. We really have to test, tend our own garden, and kind of figure out what works for us and our channel. But that can take time. This isn't a sprint. Okay, next thumbnail. All right, cool, that's done. Wait. Fuck! Yeah, I forgot to hit record. I'm sorry, but let me explain either way. If I struggled last video because I didn't want to copy another creator's style, then this thumbnail idea solves all of that. Let me show you. So the idea was, it was him learning to speedrun. He, as you can see, has this thing where it says day 1, day 3, day 7, and it's watching him get better and better and better. A few snags that I hit looking at this straight away. I don't know if we need 3 different days. And then the other issue is, for laymen, people who don't know about speedrunning, yellow means you've got a great split. It's a gold split. Green is good, red is obviously slow. But to everyone else who doesn't do speedrunning, yellow is medium. My logic was bam. Day 1, 3 hours, 21 minutes. Day 7, 1 hour, 52 minutes. Green, red. Personally, I prefer the other option, which was inspired by an Alpha Rad video about Super Mario Odyssey. We can throw it up. So this one has all the timers slowly moving down behind him, as Sora all blurred because he's moving so fast, because he's such a fast, speedy guy. and then everything else behind it is blurred in background. Often the ideas that inspire us come from the same niche or same circles, but for a truly great idea, you need to expand out and be inspired from people outside of your direct circle. In this case, I chose Alpharad. He doesn't make Kingdom Hearts content, so using his speedrunning Mario content to inspire this thumbnail instead means that it still feels original and unique without feeling like I'm selling out or directly copying someone. And for our final thumbnail, I am going to be roasting myself. A few months ago, I made a thumbnail for a video all about YouTube Shorts. It's probably one of the most valuable videos on this channel. It compresses months of practice, research, and experience from myself and 2 other creators down to 25 minutes to show new creators a guaranteed pathway to grow their YouTube channel. It was so important to me. I was terrified of this video doing badly that I turned to other creators for the thumbnail. I completely lost faith in my own experience. I tried a different style. I tried a completely different pitch. And at the end of the day, it is terrible. The video did terribly. The video flopped entirely. The issue with this thumbnail is it makes no sense. What took 45 days? What does the text even say when it's shrunken down? What are these symbols at the bottom when they're small? Wait, what are these random days here for? The graph is rising, sure, but what's the graph even for? It also doesn't match my channel's branding at all, so viewers likely won't even know it's my video. I want to make a thumbnail for this video that better portrays the content of the video and tells a story. I also want to update this one because I want to show you guys that no matter how long a video has been out, no matter how much experience you have, you can still make mistakes. This thumbnail right here is a really old thumbnail I did about how to get more chatters on Twitch. I didn't build this thumbnail after looking at another YouTuber. I just built this because I thought it looked really good. I really liked it. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna convert it. So I start by swapping out the Twitch logo, adding a drop shadow, and then I have this iPhone mock-up that I got off Envato Elements. I position that and then add the Shorts logo and the text that reads 0 viewers. I remove the drop shadow from the text and make it a bit thinner to be a bit more legible when it's shrunk, and then I position and duplicate this phone to the right side as well. I then change the text to read 10M views for 10 million views, and I swap out the headshot for a newer version that I think matches what I look like better. And with that, I am now telling a story with this thumbnail. I am saying that this video will help you go from 0 views to over 10 million views. I've now swapped that thumbnail out and changed the title, and will be monitoring it for the next few weeks to months to see if it helps the video out at all. And the lesson here, again, is to make sure you're being brutally honest with what you are making. Is it really good enough? If not, it's not too late to change it. I've changed thumbnails before on videos that were dead or never even alive and then seen them skyrocket. So don't be afraid to experiment. Just try to improve and make better content. Oh, and if you want to see why that Shorts video is so valuable, click right here. I promise you, it will completely change how you make Shorts, and if you follow its steps, you'll start seeing far more success. See you guys next week.